Positive print review. It's amazing, and the courage that it took to keep putting those ideas out there, which today seem very acceptable for most people, were not back then. And it was a very challenging thing for me to stand up 10 years before that, which is 30 years ago when I started the ideas. And literally, some people would pick up my seminars and they call me sexist, and I get death threats, and I'm crazy. I mean, hey, I'm just a marriage counselor helping people. What is the big deal here? But it was such a politically charged concept because, in all fairness to that side that was opposing me, it was in the spirit of equality. And equality is what makes the world a better place, without a doubt. But equality doesn't mean we all become the same. So a lot of, in the name of creating equality between men and women, it was about we're all the same and not recognizing any differences. So it's been a great pleasure for me over the years to get the response from those who are open to my ideas. So I'm always happy to see you here, so thank you so much. I was just with John Perkins a few minutes ago, who's a really good friend and someone I admire tremendously. And we were just talking and somebody came up and said, oh, you probably have heard this a million times, how much your book has helped me. And I said to the person, you can tell us a million times and we don't get tired of hearing it. You should know that anybody who puts a message out into the world needs the feedback.
May I have your attention, please? We need all along to the front desk. All along to the front desk immediately. Thank you.
So what's really been fun for me, and I will share some wonderful insights today that I think will be helpful for you. Maybe if you take away one thing, because that's all men will remember anyway. And I try not to be too many points, because women will remember everything. Then they get overwhelmed, it's like too much. So I'm going to try to limit it down. There'll be some good stories here today. They will illustrate probably some points that will be helpful in your life, whether you're in a relationship or you've been in a relationship. Someone was just sharing before that she hopes that my book will help her. She's starting a new relationship, not make the same mistakes. Another woman said, well, we're getting back together to see maybe this would work. And what I saw, which was amazing to me, people said, did you ever imagine Men from Mars would be such a big success? I could not have imagined it to be that big of a success. I had hoped it would be a bestseller, which certainly it was. But what was most surprising was that everywhere I traveled, because I go around giving keynote talks, and it's not as much now, because I don't know if people recognize me as much, but in the first 10 years, every time I traveled, every time somebody came to me at the airport and said, we were divorced, and we read your book, and now we're back together. It's an amazing phenomenon. And so for the person that came up to me and said, I hope that this will help us get back together, the theme of it is when you read the book, you underline things and you realize, oh my gosh, I didn't know that before. Oh my gosh, I didn't know that before. If I had known that, then I could have handled things differently. So what I have been able to distill are concepts that have helped me and helping couples in my relationship counseling. And so quite often, if you try to change somebody, it's a long journey. But if you can give them an insight they didn't know, then naturally they go, oh, I didn't know that. You mean the door is not here, but it's over here? And they go, oh, it's right there. And they go, oh, I can just reach and open it. But quite often we think the door is here. There's no, it's in the wall. We just bang. One new insight is, I'll talk about right now. But briefly before that, the most recent book, and I have this here, which is called Why Mars and Venus Collide. And I wrote this 20 years later. Well, actually, it couldn't have been 20 years, 15 years later. And it was because there was so much scientific research that had been coming out. Ever since the universities got the brain scans, they can look at how men and women's brains are different. And every single difference they show up is explained in Men from Mars, Women from Venus, in terms of the behavioral expression of those differences. And so I have so much fun, and it's a continuing exploration of, as we learn more about our male-female brains and our male-female hormones, how we're different from the point of view of, oh, this is great insight, helps us make sense of each other. So let me give you one of those distinctions. Let's look at hormones for a moment. Testosterone. Testosterone is a hormone that men need more of than women. Now what if I said men needed twice as much testosterone to be healthy? Well, that would certainly explain a lot if we understand what testosterone is about. Testosterone's a function of it is not aggression. it emerges inside of us in order to solve problems fast. It actually increases your reaction time. The opposite of testosterone in the body is estrogen. Women, you have way more estrogen than the men in this room. The function of estrogen is to be aware of, on a psychological level, what you feel inside and what you need inside. Testosterone is about goals. I want to achieve that goal. I'm motivated to achieve that goal. I got to do it fast. That's testosterone, solving problems. So for women, it's about exploring what their needs are and what their feelings are. So you get a man and a woman together and she's under stress. Her estrogen's going to cause her to suddenly go, I need this, I'm not getting that, this doesn't look good, but this looks good. Suddenly her brain has at least 8 times more activity than a man's. This is like amazing. Now you can see this in brain scans. Under stress, women's brains speed up. At the end of the day, it just keeps spinning out. For men, at the end of the day, you do a brain scan, blood flow stops to the brain. As soon as the sun sets, this is real science here. I mean, it's a good joke too, but it's real science. Is that when the sun sets, a guy's done his day's activity. He sits down, and when he sits down, blood flow stops to most of the brain, except back here to keep his heartbeat going and his blood flowing and all that. The consciousness almost completely shuts off. For a woman, she sits down, brain flow increases. The whole brain is active. So you ask her, now what are you thinking right now? And she says, which every woman in this room can imagine, I'm thinking about all the things I should be doing that I'm not doing while I'm sitting here doing nothing. Now can anyone relate to that? This is like togetherness, okay? We're all women here, okay? So that's the brain scan of a woman at the end of the day. The brain scan of a man is nothing. And if you ask him, what are you thinking? What does he say? Nothing. Just knowing that that's a possibility, but it can't be possible. You're withholding, you're mad at me, you're not open to me, you used to share. On the third date, men do talk more than any other time in a relationship. So let's get that one over with. And of course, we do have more the feminized male who's learning to try to talk more and so forth. And a few words out for him. When I talk about my books, the importance of communication, it's the message is men need to be better listeners, not better talkers. Once a man starts talking more than a woman in a relationship, she begins to close down. Men don't realize that. They think they're doing really great. They're getting a report of everything that's going wrong in his life. Well, the difference between men and women is that women don't forget anything that he says. They can't turn it off. She's thinking about all your problems now. Now you become another child in her life to take care of. So you've got to be careful not to overwhelm him with her with too much. But at the same time, what she's really looking for the most is safety for her to share. Because we now look at the brain scans. Oh, back, I want to finish on testosterone. So with testosterone, it's not just men need twice as much testosterone. It's men need 30 times to 60 times more testosterone than women. See, these are just numbers, so it's hard to imagine. So if a woman has this much testosterone, a man needs this, and it's 5 stories up. There's a huge difference in the amount of testosterone running through a man's body. Now what happens to men is, you've heard about testosterone. Often people associate testosterone with aggression. So you think, oh, we don't want testosterone, that's aggressive. No. The newest research shows that it's not testosterone that causes aggression. At times of aggression, you might have high testosterone because you need faster reaction time. Because you're in danger, you need faster reaction time, and you want to solve the problem, kill it, so to speak, get rid of it. But the aggression where men become mean and awful and whatever, the dark side of masculinity is not masculine at all. It's when men feel in danger and they don't know what to do. Then their testosterone spikes to an unnatural high level, to 200 times more than a woman's. And instantly his heart speeds up, he'd have a heart attack. So what the body does is it converts the testosterone into estrogen. So now he becomes a woman. He becomes estrogen dominant and gets his feelings hurt. So once he gets his feelings hurt, he's still in a man's body, and so he wants to hurt somebody else. This is what men do when they feel hurt, they want to hurt out. See, when women hurt, they want you to hurt, but they tell you. The This is what I'm feeling. And by the way, men, until you feel the pain she's feeling, she'll keep telling you and keep telling you. But it's that sense that I want you to feel what I feel. When you feel, as a woman, estrogen dominant being, when you're feeling a strong emotion, if somebody else can relate to it, then your tension goes down, the stress goes down. So the key for women is, why do they want to talk so much when they're upset about stuff? Is that if somebody can listen, hormones get produced that lower her stress. So by talking about problems, women generate a hormone called oxytocin. Now there's other ways to do it, by the way. Shopping will do it. It does. It increases oxytocin levels. And when oxytocin levels are high, or normal, she releases oxytocin and it lowers her stress levels. Now for men, oxytocin makes us sleepy. It's not the same response. So you'll see in the malls, women will be all excited, I'm going from one store to another. They're like gathering, the ancient active, maybe this, a little bit of this. They have the berry I like here. It's just a relaxed gathering, meandering through the mall, basically. As long as she's not in a hurry, oxytocin levels are increasing.